So let's look at this next lesson, this next question. Notice again how it is a cubic equation, the power of 3 there. And we want to use grouping since there are 4 terms here. So let's see if we can get this to come together for us. So I'll group the first 2 together and the last 2, and hopefully this will work out for us. So again, by grouping, we now want to just find the greatest common factor of each individual pair. The first 2, there looks like there's an x squared in common, so we pull that out. That leaves me an x minus the 8. Notice how again there's this negative at this spot in front of this first term of the second box. When there's a negative in this spot, we do want to bring it out as well. And we do know that a 4 also goes in 32, so that 4 is going to be a GCF, and we're going to bring the negative out with it. So negative 4 comes out. When I do so, the signs are all going to change. So this is going to be an x left over, and then again, this is going to become then a minus 8 by doing so. And then we're hoping to see a common binomial. I do see this x minus 8 as a common binomial. So we pull that out. And then we have what's left is that x squared minus the 4. Notice that 4 squared, or 2 squared is actually 4. Put equals 0 there. So x minus 8 is there, but then x squared minus 4, since 2 squared is 4, I can change this to x minus 2 times x plus 2, since that is a difference of squares. So we said each one of those factors equal to 0. So I'm going to set x minus 8 equal to 0, x minus 2 equal to 0, and x plus 2 equal to 0. And x equals 8 would be that solution, that root. X equals 2 would be that root. And x equals negative 2 would be that root. So that would be the 3 roots or 3 solutions to that equation. So on this next one, notice how we do see a cubic, and there are 4 pieces, but remember it's got to be set equal to 0 to start with. So I want to keep the cubic term positive, so I'm going to move the 2 terms on the right side over to the left side. So I need to lose an x squared here, and I need to lose a 32x there. So I need a negative x squared and a negative 32x there. So let's see what we got here. So the 2x cubed is going to come down. I'm going to slide over a little bit to the left. I'm sorry, I got to put that on both sides. I didn't. What you do to one side, you got to do the other. So negative x squared and a negative 32x. Notice that they really don't line up with anything, so I'm kind of offsetting them a little bit. So 2x cubed, that minus x squared comes into play. The minus 32x plops in there, plus this 16. Now it's equal to 0. So I should now be able to use the box method for grouping. So I want to kind of group the first 2 and the second 2. And again, we're just looking for the GCF of each one of those pairs. So again, we do see an x squared that's going to come out. That's going to leave me a 2 and an x minus then this 1. Because remember, if you multiply this back through, it should give you the original binomial. X squared times 2x does give me 2x cubed, and x squared times that negative 1 does give me that negative x squared. Now when I come to the next box, notice again how there's that negative in front of that 32 there, so it's got to come out. And between a 32 and a 16, I believe 16 does go into 32. So 32 divided by 16, yeah, that's 2. So I'm going to bring out a negative 16. By doing so, I should have a 2x. And remember, the signs are not going to switch, so that's going to be a minus 1 equals then this 0. Now that I've factored out the GCF of each pair, I'm now looking for a common binomial. And notice how, again, there is that 2x minus 1 that's in common. So we want to pull that out. So 2x minus 1 comes out, and this x squared minus 16 would be left. But x squared minus 16 is still factorable, so we're not quite done factoring just yet. So this 2x minus 1, we can bring it down. It's done. There's nothing else to do there, but that's going to be, because since that 16 is a perfect square, 4 times 4, we know that's going to be x minus 4 times this x plus 4. So then we just set each one of those equal to 0. So notice how the negative 1's got to go to the other side, so it's going to be 2x equals 1. The 2's got to divide over, so that's going to be x equals 1/2. The 4's got to come over, x equals 4. The 4's got to go over, that's going to be a negative 4. So negative 4 plus 4 does give me 0. 4 minus 4 is equal to 0, that checks. Half of 2 is 1, and 1 minus 1 is 0, that does check. So those would be my 3 roots, my 3 solutions. See if there's anything else over here. Looks like that's all we got there. So it looks like we have one more question, but it's an application. Excuse me. So a ball is thrown vertically upward from the top of a building 48 feet tall with an initial velocity of 32 feet per second. The distance s in feet of the ball from the ground after t seconds is represented by the equation 48 plus 32t minus 16t squared is equal to s. So s was described as the how far off the ground we are, depending on how much time has gone by. So the first question says, how many seconds does the ball, after how many seconds does the ball hit the ground? So if I just try to rough this out a little bit, you have the ground here. See if I can draw the ground. So you have the ground here. You have a building that's up on top of the ground. It's 48 feet off the ground. And you have this little ball that starts off the top of the building. So it's thrown vertically. So it's kind of thrown in this direction, but it's got 32 feet per second, but it's slowing down because of gravity. Gravity finally grabs hold of it and pulls it back to Earth. So it comes back down, and it's finally back on the ground over here. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So basically, we're looking for the time. So if we're looking for the time, we must know how high it is off the ground. And since we're on the ground, what that means is the height is 0, since we're on the ground. So when I write my equation, I like to have my quadratic term first. So I'm going to rewrite this then as negative 16t squared. Let's see if I can get this all to work here. Oops, lost it there. So I have, let's see here. So negative 16t squared plus the 32t plus the 48. And that has to equal the distance is 0. So we do have a quadratic that we have to solve for t for the time. And I do notice that 16 looks promising. It does divide into all three of those. So I'm going to factor out the 16, but I'm also going to pull out the negative. So in doing so, this is going to turn into negative, oops, try to do that better. Hand's getting a little tired. So negative 16t squared. We're going to pull out the negative 16, so I'm going to put my parentheses there. And since I pull out negative 16, that's going to turn that into a minus 2t. And since I'm pulling out 16 out of that, that's going to change it to minus 3. And that's got to equal then this 0. Now, t squared minus 2t minus 3, since it's just a t squared out in front, when I set up two sets of parentheses, I know that the first two terms have to be t because t times t does give me my t squared. But now we got to focus on the negative 3. What are the factors of a negative 3 that add up to give me the linear coefficient, which is a negative 2? So as far as the factors of 3, there's really only a 1 and a 3. So we're hoping to get this negative 2. So that means this 3 is going to have to be negative. So 1 times negative 3 is going to give me negative 3, and 1 plus negative 3 is going to give me negative 2. So that's going to be my last two positions. So a positive 1 and a minus 3. Now that it's factored, we just set each factor equal to 0. So we're going to put this negative 16 equal to 0, but again, that's not a true statement, so we just close that out. So t plus 1 has to equal 0, and t minus 3 must equal 0. I should have that equal to 0 there. So, woo, my eyes got lost there. All right. So t minus 3 must equal 0. So this would be t equals negative 1. And this would be t equals 3. Which one makes sense is the 3. A negative time doesn't seem to fit this problem. So when you throw the ball up in the air, it seems like it's going to take it 3 seconds before it hits the ground. And that sounds about right. Now the next question is how many seconds, after how many seconds will the ball pass the top of the building on its way down? So in my drawing, what we're seeing this time is they're talking about when the ball reaches past the building again. So again, notice how it follows through here. It goes through here, but when it's what they're looking for is when the ball passes the height of the building again. So they're looking for this spot right here. How long does it take for the ball to get to that spot there? Notice as far as height goes, that's going to be the same height as the building. So S in this case is going to be that 48. So when I do my math, I'm going to have this negative 16t squared. I'm going to have this plus 32t. I'm going to have a plus 48. That's the quadratic part. But what we do know is the height now is actually 48 feet off the ground, so I can replace S with 48. So now we have an equation that we can deal with. Since it's quadratic, we want to set this right side equal to 0. So I'll lose a 48 here as long as I lose a 48 over here. So that's going to give me then this negative 16t squared plus 32t. And that's going to equal then just 0, since this is going to cancel out and this is going to cancel out. So now we just look for the GCF, which again, I'm seeing that 16 again in that t this time. So there's a GCF of a negative 16t. I like to pull the negative on out. By doing so, that's going to leave me a t, and the sign changes to make that a minus 2 equals 0. Now we want to set each factor equal to 0. So negative 16t has to equal 0. And t minus 2 has to equal 0. So remember, to get rid of this negative 16, it's a coefficient. So we're going to just divide both sides by negative 16. So what we're looking for then is t is equal to 0. If I solve this one, we would see just t equals 2. So which one of those answers makes sense? Well, 0 means no time's gone by. So the 2 would make better sense because 0 means we're still in the building. They're talking about when the ball passes by the building coming down. So that 2 or 2 seconds would be the solution to this equation. So hopefully that will get you kind of where we need to be with solving quadratic equations and cubic equations using factoring.